Hey folks, Chris Hobart here, the Wealthologist. Let's talk about something that's incredibly important, but probably doesn't get enough spotlight in our daily conversations. You got it, the federal budget deficit. Now, I know you're sitting at the edge of your seat. All right, it sounds a bit boring, but don't worry. We're about to make it more engaging. And we're diving into how these deficits are kind of like that uncle who picks up the tab of dinner for everybody at that last family reunion. It's fun at first, but in the end, you always hear about it and have to deal with it later. So let's go ahead and get into this a little bit. First, I want to share with you the big picture. You see, here's the deal. The federal budget deficit is what happens when Uncle Sam spends more than he brings in. And we all know Uncle Sam has done a great job of swiping that credit card lately. In fact, back in 2020 and 2021, during the pandemic, deficits skyrocketed to 14.7% and 12.1% of GDP. And these are numbers that we haven't seen since World War II. But we get it. The world was in crisis, a lot of unknowns at that time. So most folks were like, hey, spend away. So what is the COVID connection? Well, I want to be real with you. That spending spree, at the time, it felt good. Stimulus checks, sure, a lot of people loved it. Pandemic and unemployment, absolutely, spend away. But the thing was, people weren't just buying essentials with that money. They were shopping online like pros. Amazon even doubled its workforce because everyone was stuck at home buying gadgets and just random stuff like do-it-yourself bread kits. But there's a cost to this type of feel-good spending. That money, it didn't come out of nowhere. The government printed it. They literally printed it. See, this caused M2, which is just a fancy term for the money supply, to shoot up 41% during the pandemic. And just like adding too much yeast to your bread dough, the economy started rising until inflation hit, peaking at 9%, which is huge. Now, the question that we get is, where's the recession? Because that's been predicted for quite a while. So let's fast forward to 2023. The Fed tightened monetary policy. They started raising interest rates and slowing down that money printer. Now, normally, that's going to be a one-way ticket to Recessionville. But guess what? The economy grew by 3.2% in 2023 and is projected to hit 2.6% growth in 2024. So what gives? Well, one word: deficits. Even though we're not in a pandemic anymore, the federal government is still spending a big 6.4% of GDP in 2024. It's kind of like they just can't kick the habit. So maybe we can put this into some perspective and learn a little bit from history. You see, in the 1980s, President Reagan was slammed for running a deficit of 5.9% of GDP during the Cold War, when unemployment hit 10%. Now, compare that to today? Unemployment is below 4%, and we're not fighting any major wars. But deficits are higher. Even hardcore Keynesians, who usually champion government spending, are kind of starting to side-eye these numbers because it creates a long-term problem. And this is why this matters. These massive deficits might be keeping the economy afloat now, but they're not giving us much bang for our buck. You see, if the government cuts back on spending, we'll likely see short-term pain, especially since a chunk of recent job growth has been in government and healthcare, both heavily reliant on public funds. So you're probably asking, what's next? Well, the big question is, can the government wean itself off these massive deficits without crashing the economy? If spending is cut, will the private sector step up to drive growth? Or will the Fed try to paper over the pain with easier money, risking another round of inflation? It's kind of like when I tried to quit coffee recently. It's painful at first, but probably healthier in the long run. And I think this is where we have to say that we're in for an interesting ride. So my question to you, what do you think? Are these deficits a necessary evil, or are we just kicking the can down the road? Drop your thoughts in the comments section below. I'd love to hear from you, any feedback you can give. And before you go, make sure that you hit that like button and spread the word to anybody that you think might benefit from some of this information. And also, if you want to talk money about anything in particular or want to find out more about what we talk about, again, just drop us a note. You can always impact this weekly Wealthologist with your input and your feedback. All right. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on the Weekly Wealthologist.